Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to another weekly wrap-up wherein I tell you about all the things that I finished reading in the past 7 days. Except for things that I'm going to talk about in other videos because I don't know why I do this to myself. I finished reading 5 things, and the first 2 I'll be talking about in future videos. The first one is Take Back Plenty by Colin Greenland. This is one of the Arthur C. Clarke Award winners. At first I thought I was going to really enjoy it, like it would be fun, campy, science fiction adventure and space type of thing, and then I really didn't enjoy it that much. I was really frustrated by the way that it was written, the way the story was narrated, and the characters. It just pushed all my buttons. So more on that one and why I didn't like it later. And then I finished my reread of The Other Wind by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I read the short story The Daughter of Odren, so I've now finished up the Earthsea cycle in its entirety, and I will be doing a video on that pretty soon. Might be very rambly because I haven't prepared very well. Next I read Taste of Marrow by Sarah Gailey, which is the sequel to A River of Teeth. This is about an alternate history America where hippos are introduced as like steeds and meat, which does not go well sometimes when the hippos are feral. The first part of the story concerned this group of people put together to take care of a job dealing with feral hippos in the Harriet, which is basically like an artificial swampland created in the Mississippi River Basin or whatever, and it doesn't go very well. In Taste of Marrow, the surviving characters are split into 2 groups who think that the others might be dead. So Hero is off with Adelia and Adelia's infant daughter Isabel, and Houndstooth is with Archie. Houndstooth is obsessed with finding Hero. He thinks that they might have been killed, that they might be dead, or Adelia has like kidnapped Hero. I think the reason why I didn't enjoy this one as much as River of Teeth is that it goes into some pretty dark areas, whereas River of Teeth was actually pretty amusing and like a caper to me. This is not a caper. Houndstooth goes to some really dark places and almost destroys his friendship with Archie with things that he says and does because he gets so obsessed with finding Hero, and it was a little disturbing. I think this might be the conclusion to the story overall, with all of the major plot threads taken care of. There's a little bit of wiggle room for future stories with, you know, what happens next after the happily ever after type of thing. I would absolutely read more, but I also like having a finished story. Moving on, I listened to the audiobook of Dragons at Crumbling Castle by Terry Pratchett. This is a collection of stories he wrote for a newspaper that he worked at when he was very young. I think he was a teenager when he wrote these stories, and they are very nice, family-appropriate stories about microscopic people who live on dust motes and go adventuring to claim other dust motes, and the people who live in the carpet and are exploring the linoleum and stuff like that. I thought they were really enjoyable. Nothing amazing, but I could hear the beginnings of Terry Pratchett's voice and his sense of humor, and that was really enjoyable. The audiobook I listened to was also done really well, and I liked listening to the stories in that format. They worked really well like that. And lastly, I read Paper Girls Volume 2, written by Brian K. Vaughan with artwork by Cliff Chiang. I had kinda abandoned this comic series for the time being. I read the first volume a while ago, I think when it first came out. I still own it actually, I think. And I was less than interested in the ending of Volume 1. I thought it was going in a direction that I just wasn't interested in, so I just kind of left it for a while. I didn't want to continue buying it. But my library has the first 3 volumes, so I decided to check it out again with Volumes 2 and 3. And then the BookTube Best of F Awards, the shortlist was announced, and Volume 3 is in the graphic work category, so I have another reason to read it. So the series is about a group of like 12, 13-year-old girls in 1988 who are paper girls, and on one fateful morning, bizarre things happen and they kind of get whisked off to a time travel adventure. I'm not really sure what's going on. This is my frustration with it so far. I like the characters, I like the way it's written, I even enjoy the artwork style and everything, but I don't get what it's really supposed to be about. Is it just these girls' adventures in time and trying to avoid paradoxes or changing the timeline or whatever? Or is it really about people struggling over control of the timeline, and are there multiple factions? And it's very up in the air right now. And that's the one thing kind of dampening my enjoyment of it. I just want it to be a bit clearer about what the stakes are and what the ultimate point of it is all supposed to be. This is probably just my personal problem with storytelling in comics, to be honest, because I only really read trade volumes. I wait a significant amount of time in between each one. It can often feel like the story is being really dragged out, when in fact it's not. And if I sat down and read like a huge chunk of the series in one go, I wouldn't feel that way. But this one in particular, I'm just a little confused. So I'm waiting on volume 3 from my library, and hopefully that one will get even deeper into what is actually going on. And that is all for this past week. Now I gotta sit here and think about some intelligent things to say about the Earthsea cycle by Ursula Le Guin. No pressure, you know, no pressure at all. While I'm here though, let me go over what I'm currently reading very quickly. I have started reading The Black Tides of Heaven by J.Y. Yang, which I am kind of doing a group read of with some friends. We're going to be discussing it a little bit later in the month. I'm really enjoying it so far. I've also started reading a digital arc of Gods, Monsters, and the Lucky Peach by Kelly Robson. Thank you very much to Tor.com for sending that, because I'm enjoying it so much. It comes out later in March, and I'm just like really impressed with the concept of the entire thing. And then some physical things. I am chipping away very slowly at Iron Council by China Mieville, which is one of the Clark Award winners. I'm going to give it 50 more pages and then decide, because I think the reading experience of this is turning into a repeat of my experience with Perdido Street Station, which is one of the worst reading experiences of my life. There's something about these Baslag books by Mieville that does not jive with me. Like, I just start feeling queasy and weird about it, and it's like my brain is having an allergic reaction. That's the only way I can describe it. And I just don't think it's gonna be worth it to finish it unless something major changes in the next 50 pages or so. I hate to DNF it because I've been DNFing a really high percentage of Clark Award winners, but I also have to realize when enough is enough. I'm still reading How to Be a Victorian by Ruth Goodman, which is my buddy read with Maya and Kelsey throughout the month of February, so I'm not speeding through it. I'm kind of taking my time. Really enjoying it. There's so much stuff about the details of Victorian life that I had never heard of. I just got through the like hair care section, which was a revelation. I had no idea that Victorians basically had hair care products like we have today. In fact, some of their products contain ingredients that we still use today in modern hairstyling and stuff. It was really interesting because I'd always wondered, you know, I have really long hair, and I always wondered how ye olde people kept their really long hair up in these intricate hairstyles, and the answer is they put as much junk in it as people do today, and I don't do that. So that's why I have two hairstyles, braided and down. I'm literally incapable of doing anything else. But the Victorians kind of make me want to try some of that stuff and get a bit fancier or something. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I really recommend it if you're interested in the details of Victorian life. And then whatever I start next is going to be something from the BookTube SFF Awards shortlist. Read-alongs don't start until March, but I am going to get a head start with some things because I won't have time if I'm just following the read-along schedule. So I have Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle to read because the sequel, Waking Gods, is on the science fiction shortlist. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, which is nominated in the fantasy category, and Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames, which is in the debut novel category, and chunky fantasy. I'll get through it though. So that is my life and reading at the moment. Let me know what you are enjoying and if you've read any of these books and you want to talk to me about them, and I will talk to you very soon. And until then,